I still remember the exact moment everything started to change. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening, the kind of evening that quietly blends into every other day of married life. I came home from work a little earlier than usual. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky outside our living room window with soft orange light. Our house was quiet, and the silence felt peaceful at first. My wife Emily was in the kitchen, humming softly while cooking dinner. The smell of garlic and butter filled the air. For years, moments like these had been my definition of happiness. Emily and I had been married for 7 years. We had built a life that seemed stable, warm, and safe. We weren't perfect, but we loved each other, or at least, I believed we did. I dropped my keys on the small table near the door and walked toward the kitchen. "Hey," I said with a tired smile. Emily turned around and smiled back. Her brown hair was tied loosely behind her head, and a few strands had fallen around her face. "You're early," she said. "Meeting got cancelled." She shrugged playfully. "Good. Dinner's almost ready." There was nothing unusual about the moment. Nothing that hinted at the storm waiting quietly beneath the surface of our life. After dinner, Emily said she was going to take a shower. I stayed in the living room scrolling through my phone while the television played softly in the background. The house was calm, almost too calm. About 10 minutes later, I got up to grab a glass of water from the kitchen. That's when I noticed it. On the edge of the kitchen counter, partially hidden under a folded dish towel, was a phone. At first, I thought it was Emily's regular phone, but something about it felt strange. The case was different. Emily's phone had a blue case with tiny white flowers on it. This one had a plain black case. I picked it up. My first thought was simple. Maybe she bought a new phone. But something in my chest tightened. Emily had never mentioned getting a new phone. And we usually told each other everything, at least I thought we did. The screen lit up when I pressed the power button. It wasn't locked. A small, uneasy feeling began spreading through my stomach. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. Maybe it was a work phone. Maybe it belonged to a friend who had stopped by earlier. Maybe there was a simple explanation. But curiosity is a dangerous thing when doubt has already started whispering in your mind. I opened the messages. The first message thread was pinned at the top. The contact name was just a single letter. A. I stared at it for a moment. Then I opened it. The conversation scrolled down endlessly, weeks and weeks of messages. At first, I couldn't even understand what I was reading. My brain refused to process it. Then my eyes caught a message that made my heart stop. "I miss you already. Last night felt perfect." My chest tightened. I scrolled up. Another message. "Do you think he suspects anything?" Then another. "Don't worry. He trusts me." For a moment, the entire world seemed to go silent. The sound of the shower running upstairs faded into the background. My hands started shaking. My wife, Emily, the woman I had trusted more than anyone in the world. She had a secret phone. And the messages made it painfully clear why. I kept scrolling even though every word felt like a knife cutting deeper into my chest. Photos, plans, memories of nights they had spent together. There were messages about meeting at hotels, about afternoons when I thought Emily was visiting her sister or working late. My mind started replaying the past few months like a movie I had never understood until now. The late meetings, the sudden weekend trips with friends, the nights she seemed distant, distracted. I had ignored every sign because love makes you blind in the most dangerous ways. My hands trembled so badly that I had to sit down at the kitchen table. 7 years. 7 years of memories rushed through my mind all at once. The day we met in college. Our first tiny apartment. The way she cried during our wedding vows. The quiet Sunday mornings drinking coffee together. Had any of it been real? Or had I just been living inside a story that only I believed in? The sound of the shower upstairs stopped. Panic rushed through me. I quickly placed the phone back exactly where I had found it and sat there staring at the table, trying to control my breathing. A few minutes later, Emily walked into the kitchen wearing a soft gray sweater and sweatpants. Her hair was still damp. She smiled at me. "Why are you sitting in the dark?" I hadn't even noticed that the kitchen lights were off. Just thinking," I said quietly. She walked over and turned on the light. For a moment, I simply looked at her. This woman had been my whole world. And now I didn't know who she was anymore. She opened the fridge and grabbed a bottle of water. "You look tired," she said. I forced a small smile. Long day. If she sensed anything strange, she didn't show it. Later that night, we went to bed like we always did. Emily fell asleep quickly, her breathing slow and steady beside me. I stared at the ceiling for hours. My mind was filled with questions that had no answers. Who was A? How long had this been going on? Why had she done this? Around 2 a.m., Emily's phone on the nightstand buzzed. She shifted slightly but didn't wake up. My heart started pounding. Slowly, carefully, I picked up her phone. A notification glowed on the screen. It was a message. From A. Wish you were here tonight. My stomach twisted. In that moment, something inside me broke in a way that I knew could never be fixed. I sat there in the darkness, staring at the message while Emily slept peacefully next to me. I wanted to wake her up and demand answers. I wanted to scream. I wanted to understand how the person I loved the most could betray me like this. But instead, I quietly put the phone back. Because suddenly I realized something terrifying. I didn't just want answers. I wanted the truth. And sometimes the truth is much more painful than we are prepared for. The next morning, everything felt different. Emily made breakfast like she always did. She laughed at something on television. She kissed me on the cheek before I left for work. Every small gesture felt like a lie. When she hugged me goodbye, I wondered if she had hugged him the same way. Driving to work, my hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. My entire life suddenly felt like it was built on a foundation of secrets. All day, I couldn't focus on anything. One thought kept repeating in my mind. I needed to know who he was. That evening, when I came home, Emily said she had to run to the grocery store. "I'll be back in 30 minutes, she said casually. The moment she left, I went straight to the kitchen. The secret phone was still there. My heart raced as I picked it up again. This time, I searched through everything. Messages, photos, call logs. Then I found something that made my chest tighten even more. His full name, Adam. And from the messages, it became clear that this wasn't just some random affair. They had known each other for years. Long before Emily and I got married. One message stopped me cold. "Sometimes I wish we had met at the right time. Maybe things would be different." Another message from Emily said, "Maybe in another life." My throat tightened painfully. Another life. What about this life? What about the life we had built together? I sat there staring at the screen, feeling a deep, crushing sadness spreading through my chest. I had always believed love meant loyalty. It meant choosing the same person every day. But somewhere along the way, Emily had stopped choosing me. When she came back home later that night, I knew the moment had finally come. I was standing in the living room when she walked in. She smiled. "Hey." I held up the black phone. Her smile disappeared instantly. The silence between us felt heavy, like the air itself had turned solid. Her eyes widened slightly. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she whispered one word. "How?" My voice felt strange when I finally spoke. "I found it." Her shoulders slowly sank as if the weight of the truth had finally caught up with her. Tears filled her eyes. "I can explain," she said softly. "But the truth was, there are some explanations that can never repair what has already been broken." In that moment, standing across from the woman I once loved more than anything, I realized something painful but undeniable. Sometimes the hardest part of love is not losing someone. Sometimes the hardest part is discovering that the person you trusted with your heart was never the person you thought they were.